Ever feel like the odds are stacked against you? Like you're fighting a losing battle? Well, today we're diving into a story that proves one person, with enough courage, can change everything. This isn't just a tale of war. It's a story of unexpected leadership when all hope seemed lost. Imagine this: a kingdom on the brink of collapse. Its armies are battered, morale is at an all-time low, and enemy forces are closing in, smelling victory. The commanders, seasoned veterans of countless campaigns, are out of ideas. They've tried every strategy in the book, but nothing works. Surrender seems like the only option left. The soldiers are exhausted, their spirits broken, and they're ready to lay down their arms. It feels like the end of an era, a story destined to end in defeat. But history, as we know, loves a good plot twist. From the shadows of the royal court, a figure emerges. Not a grizzled general or a famed warrior, but a woman. She was known more for her quiet intelligence and sharp wit than for any military prowess. Many dismissed her, thinking, what could she possibly do that our greatest generals could not? They saw her as a diplomat, a scholar, maybe a regent, but a commander? Impossible. The council was skeptical, the soldiers were doubtful, and the enemy, well, the enemy didn't even see her as a threat. And that was their first mistake. She didn't walk into the war room with grand, complicated battle plans. Instead, she started by listening. She walked among the soldiers, not as a commander, but as one of them. She listened to their fears, their frustrations, and their small, forgotten ideas. She spoke to the quartermasters, the medics, the scouts, everyone. She understood that an army wasn't just a collection of swords and shields. It was a living, breathing entity, and its heart was broken. Her strategy was unconventional. Instead of focusing on brute force, she focused on the mind. She started by restoring morale. She shared stories of their ancestors' victories, reminded them of what they were fighting for. Not just a king, but their homes, their families, their way of life. She used her knowledge of the land, something the generals had overlooked, to her advantage. She knew the hidden paths, the natural choke points, and the best places for an ambush. She saw the battlefield not as a chessboard, but as a living landscape. Then she took command. Her first order wasn't a full frontal assault. It was a series of small surgical strikes. Using her scouts' intimate knowledge of the terrain, her forces would appear as if from nowhere, strike a supply line, and vanish back into the wilderness. These weren't battle-winning moves on their own, but they did something crucial. They confused and frustrated the enemy. More importantly, they gave her soldiers small, achievable victories. For the first time in months, they were winning. Confidence began to return. The soldiers started to see her not as just a noblewoman, but as their leader. They saw her intelligence in action. She turned the enemy's strength, their large, slow-moving army, into their biggest weakness. The tide was turning, not with a massive wave, but with 1,000 small ripples. The enemy, once so sure of their victory, was now on the defensive, looking over their shoulders, wondering where the next attack would come from. The battle wasn't over, but for the first time in a very long time, there was hope. A hope ignited by one person who refused to accept defeat. This story reminds us that leadership isn't always about shouting the loudest or having the most experience. Sometimes it's about seeing things differently, listening to the unheard, and having the courage to take a path no one else will. What do you think? Who does this story remind you of? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this piece of history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next story. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.